Okay, when we went into captivity, that was the Lord's choice to have that happen to us. Why? Because we went up, and it was also a fulfillment of prophecy. Okay, so get me let me see, get me Deuteronomy chapter verse 15. 15 and more. Deuteronomy 28 verse 15. Because that was a part of the curse of Israel. The part of the curse of Israel is that if they didn't keep the commandments of the Heavenly Father, they would then pretty much be subdued under the nation who we know as currently as the so-called Europeans today. All right, and it goes prior even before that, because when Moses was on the scene, he was basically really prophesying about how he would be subdued even under the Babylonians.
Because I know what's in that black woman's mind.
Yeah, just forget about that, man. Leave that, you know what I mean? What we're gonna be focusing on, brothers, the scriptures, man. You know, go on.
Deuteronomy 28 verse 15.
Yeah.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
Right, if we didn't hearken unto the voice of the Lord, because where does the voice of the Lord come by? It comes by inquiring of the prophet. If you can get me that scripture, brother, where it speaks about how you know, when you inquire of the Lord, you inquire of the prophet. You know, so that's how you inquire of the Lord. That's how you seek the Lord. Like when the scripture says, "Seek ye the Lord that He may be found." That's talking about the men of the Lord, the prophets. Okay, go on.
They say 1 Samuel chapter 9 verse 9.
Yeah.
Before a time in Israel, when a man went to inquire of the Most High.
Right, and this is a time in Israel when a man went to inquire of the Lord. Go on.
Thus he spake, "Come and let us go to the seer."
Right, let us go to the seer. What is a seer? A seer is another way of declaring a prophet.
For he that is now called a prophet,
Right, for he is now then called a prophet. Go on.
was before time called a seer.
Once before time called a seer, because what is a seer? A seer looks out for impending danger. Okay, and what further solidifies the fact that we're the seers is because we have the information, which is the Bible, the understanding of the Bible. Once you have understanding of the Bible, you can oversee all of the madness of the world that you're currently in. So what you have is you have a I'll break it down like this. You have pretty much a bird's eye view sort of understanding. Okay, instead of seeing everything from the surface, you're seeing everything more in depth as well. Okay, you're seeing everything from a more, you know, bird's eye view. All right, instead of walking down the street or doing your day-to-day thing, and you just pretty much in ignorance, now you walk with understanding. Now you understand that certain people, they have a certain way about them. There's you know, even when you deal with races of people, okay, the scriptures shows you on how a race of people would be, especially the Esau, okay, and all of these other nations. So when you're dealing with people, you know exactly what you're expecting when you're dealing with this person or that person. Okay, even when you're dealing with a woman, you know what you're expecting. What's coming, which the word expect means to look out. So you're already looking out for what the scriptures already foretold you about this particular race of people, or on what they're going to show you. Go on.
Deuteronomy 28:15. Yeah. For it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all the commandments
Read a bit louder.
and his statutes this day, which I command thee this day,
Yes,
that
sir.
all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Right, so going back to the point of the matter is Moses was an overseer because he oversaw the degradation of Israel, the incoming degradation of the nation of Israel, had they not hearkened unto the Lord. So the nation of Israel, our people, so-called black, so-called Latinos, Native American Indians, we were inquiring of the Lord even at that time. You understand what I'm saying? So when you inquire of the Lord, you have to inquire by a prophet. And we are those men. We are the prophets of the Lord, by the will of the Father. So read that verse again.
Verse 9. Before a time in Israel, when a man went to inquire of the Most High, thus he spake, "Come and let us go to the seer."
Right, let us go to the seer. Go on.
For he that is now called a prophet was before time called a seer.
before time he was called a prophet, and now he was now become a seer. Because like I said, a seer is able to see way beyond what the other person can see, or average person can see. So it's like us. What are we able to see? We're able to see the word of the Lord coming in effect. What includes the word of the Lord, or the words of the Lord, the prophecies? It's that America is going to be obliterated off the face of the map due to World War III. Okay? The world doesn't understand that. The world can't comprehend that idea, but we can comprehend that idea. Why is that? Because the Lord blessed us with it. They gave us the ability to foresee, also oversee. Okay, so we're the men on our watchtower. All right, the seers are the men that's on the watchtower. All right, so that's what we're supposed to do. That's why the Spirit has to. We're supposed to come out here in the highways and the byways to warn our people of impending what danger. Okay, is there any more now? Okay, we're going. So now we're going to read about. Now we're going to go back to Moses and what Moses was telling the children of Israel, our people, the bulk of our people at the time. All right, what would befall them in the latter end? Go on.
To observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command you this day.
You're going.
That all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Okay, go on.
Cursed thou shalt be in the city, cursed thou shalt be in the field.
Right, so it says, cursed shall thou be in the city, and cursed shall thou be in the field. Now, the field is metaphoric of the whole entire earth. And the cities basically represent, like, let's say, for example, you living in Chicago or somewhere. You're going to live in the underbellies of Chicago. You're going to live in the ghettos. Okay, when you read about the curses, it tells you on how we would be an astonishment or an embarrassment to the nations. All right, and the two that they've used is rap music. So when you get a bunch of young people that don't really know anything about pretty much life, and you put them on TV to make a damn fool out of themselves. Now what you can also do is make that one particular person or that few group of people that's in the rap industry, tell them to put these clothes on to make them look like a bunch of clowns, promote them all around the world, so then that way so-called Negroes would get a bad name around the world. But that's already that was written. That we would be a byword and a proverb amongst all people. You understand? So when you understand the Bible, which is the so-called black man's document, you understand how the world operates, how everything operates, whatever society you're involved in. Okay? So if you got a precept, just bring it on now. Yeah, read on.
Cursed thou shalt be thy basket.
No, hold on. Let him go on.
Verse 17. Cursed thou shalt be thy basket and thy store.
Okay, go on.
Cursed thou shalt be thy fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy land, and the increase of thy kind.
Right, because already we had land, but that land was pretty much destroyed. Now, when you go back 2,000 years ago, in ancient Rome, the ancient Roman Empire. Now, what happened was the Jews, they had to flee out of Jerusalem. Why? Because of Roman persecution, and they were besieging that land. Okay, and pretty much being that the people were besieging that land, guess what? Their livestock died out of it. All right, because when you understand something, the Jews at the time, which is the kingdom of Judah, is a so-called Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, not so-called Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, which is the kingdom of Judah. They were besieging that city, and at the same time, the reason why they were besieging that city, because the Jews were going at war against the Roman Empire. So in order for you to, you got it right. Go on.
Right, this is Babylon to Timbuktu, and it says, page 84, first paragraph. In the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem.
Right.
In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter.
Okay.
During the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people.
Right.
During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery.
Right. And
the slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves.
Right, so what you gotta understand, the He's really talking about us, the so-called Negro that went on the cargo slave ships. But I'm going to revert back and go back to the history. Now, basically, our ancestors was in the land of Jerusalem, and we fled out of the land of Jerusalem, fleeing from what? Roman persecution. So we dwelt in, West Africa and other parts of Africa, okay, for a long period of time. And then what happens is, as we go further into history, what occurred? The transatlantic slave trade. All right? Now, what film was it called, brother? There was a film, I think it's one of those slavery films from, I believe, the 70s. And there was a part in that film, all right, in the trailer, where the guy was pretty much narrating about the people in West Africa. And you know what he called them in the film? The wandering Jews of Africa. Because the higher up banking elites, or should I say, the movie producers, okay, the people that control all of the things that make up the system, they know who the real Israelites are. And they know exactly, should I say, they also know that those people over there in Israeli land, I call them, okay, they're not the Jews. They already know this. All right? So go on. You got a precept going.
Luke chapter 21, verse 20.
Yeah.
And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies.
Right, it says when you see Jerusalem compassed with armies, who's Jerusalem? Jerusalem is the tribes, man. The kingdom of Judah. Okay, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. All right, which is so-called American Negro, so-called Western Negro, so-called Haitian. That's the kingdom of Judah, Jerusalem.
They know that the desolation thereof is nigh.
Right, no, therefore the desolation is not. Now that was talking about 70 AD. That was a prophecy that the brother, Tashra was reading. Okay, about how the Romans would besiege the city. So that happened. Go on.
They let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains.
So it says, let them that be in Judea. Who were in Judea at the time? Because people migrate. People like to say, well, how could so-called black people be in the land of Jerusalem when that's the Middle Eastern land? Like, what does that mean? Okay, you got to specify what you mean by that. Because just because somebody look a certain way, that don't mean they've actually been there for years. People have been migrating throughout the centuries and the millenniums. Like, for example, the original inhabitants of Great Britain were dark people. Okay? And it wasn't our people, it was a different dark-skinned group of people. Let's turn this around, brother. The original inhabitants of Britain or Europe in general were the people of what you call Jaffa today. And it's the people of the Samoan Islanders. They were the first people that inhabited this land, going all the way back to the book of Genesis. Okay? But why were they kicked out of the land? Why? Because the Greeks kicked them out. Okay? That's why they're in those islands like Hawaii and etc. Fiji. Those kind of things. You got a book, right? You go. You know what I'm saying? So when you read about the scriptures, or should I say the Israelites, excuse me, when you're reading about this our history. Okay? So read what you got.
They say, they let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out.
Right, and let them that are in the midst of it depart out. Let's read that verse. I didn't catch the first bit.
They let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out.
Right, so the mountains is talking about all of the different governments around. Okay, but let's just keep it simple. Basically, it's referring to how the Jews would be scattered amongst those different parts of Africa. Okay, or whatever land was closer to Jerusalem at the time. So that's where they would go. That's why when you read the book of Revelations, it says that the earth helped the woman. What was the woman signifying? Okay, or representing the nation of Israel. Okay, from the tribe of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. They were able to escape from the persecution of the ancient Romans by hiding into these lands. Okay. Yeah, so go back to Deuteronomy chapter 28. Because I want to dive into a point. We're going to get the verse, let me see. I think it's 48, I believe. It should be scattered. Actually, 64 it is. Verse 64.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee.
Right, it says that, and the Lord shall scatter thee, go on,
Among all people.
among all people.
From the one end of the earth, even unto the other.
Right, so that's what happened in 70 AD. And even further, we can even go further into the history. And there was the transatlantic slave trade, the diaspora. We were furthermore dispersed because you had slaves that went also on the eastern hemisphere. Okay, you had the Arabs that were involved in the slave trade as well. And they brought our people into the eastern hemisphere, while the ones of our people that were under the European slave trade, they went into the western side. That's why they called it the triangular transatlantic slave trade. Okay? So that prophecy was in the works. Go on.
Salake, it says one end of the earth to the other. So the Israelites that were in East Africa, they were taken and further in the Middle East. That's why we've got black Iraqis. They're treated very badly, by the way. When they did a CNN clip on them Iraqis treat them very badly.
Yeah.
And you have Israelites in India, because the Arabs were taking women. For every 3 slaves, 2 of them were women. Because they knew the prophecy of Ishmael would be a great nation.
Yes.
So they know if they took our women, had sex with them, raped them, bring forth new, what? It were not people that are half Israelites, half Ishmaelites. You are who your father is.
Yeah.
That's why they took our women, man. And by the way, the mortality rate was very high.
Yeah.
Very high, man.
So they can ride this.
Like, one clip they had on YouTube, if they had a cargo of 300, maybe 20 will make it. And one of the stop-off points was Zanzibar, which is just off the East African coast. Yeah. That's where they were, what's the word? They had a castle or fort there. That's where they kept us.
Yeah, you had a fort. Come on. So yeah, that's what occurred. So when you actually understand the Bible, especially Deuteronomy chapter 28, that's really the main prophecies that indicate who the real Jews are today. Because if you're calling yourself a Jew, number one, you got obviously be from the tribe of Judah. Okay? And that's the first thing. But the second thing, you gotta be under those curses. Now, let's keep going.
What do you want to read from?
Go back to 48 now.
Right. Deuteronomy 28 and 48. Yeah. Therefore thou shalt serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee.
Right.
In hunger, in thirst, and in nakedness.
Right.
And
in thirst and in nakedness, go on.
And in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until thou have destroyed thee.
Right, and that's another thing as well. You can put a yoke upon thy neck. So all you gotta do, you don't even gotta type in slavery. Just type in yoke of iron on the Google, and you'll see a group of people with a yoke of irons upon their neck. And you know who they look like? All of us around here, so-called Negroes. Okay, so when you understand the prophecies, okay, you also understand all the things. There you go, right there. Okay, you don't even gotta type in the transatlantic slave trade. You ain't even gotta type in slavery. Just type in yokes of iron, and this is what'll come up. So that's showing you right there that the so-called Negro, whether he realizes it or not, he fits the bill of the person of Israel, because he is an Israelite. All right, but you got these people out there in the states of Israel, okay, as they declare themselves to be the Israelites. They're saying that that state was set up due to Bible prophecy, but it wasn't. It was set up by the will of man. It was set up by the Balfour Declaration Act that took place in 1948. Right, because when you go further back in before the 40s, or let's just even do it the 30s, you find out there wasn't even nobody in that line. Nobody was in there. Okay, so go on. Yeah, you want to say something, right? Well, Islam, the thing with Islam, bro, Islam ain't for our people. Islam is an Arabic version of a religion. Yeah, put this back. That's just the thing. Islam hasn't really served our people anything. And you gotta understand something, right? The Muslims actually enslaved our people.
No, I'm a Muslim.
Okay, that's all right, brother. That's all right.
Life, but obviously I just want to hear your opinion.
That's all right, brother.
Which is valuable knowledge, isn't it?
Yeah, go on, yeah.
Islam, that was really a religion that was formulated by the Roman Catholic Church. Like if you understand who was ruling the Roman Catholic Church during the time of Muhammad, it was us, blacks. We already took over Rome. It was called the Holy Roman Empire or the Byzantine Empire. Constantine the Great, as you might know, the Nicene Council, those are all black, so-called black men. It was us. It wasn't white. It wasn't Esau, the Edomites. It wasn't them. It was us. So you have to understand, during that time, the Arabs had many like gods, idols that they were worshipping. Over 300 something idols. And what happened was the Jews that were ruling the Roman Empire at the time, they had a beef with their brothers that were living in Judea at the time, that kept the laws and everything like that. So what they needed to do was use that, basically make a religion, indoctrinate the Arabs, and basically get the Arabs to fight and think the Jews are enemies with the Arabs. So what they did was, there was a Roman Catholic Church in the north part of Africa. You had a lot of Ishmaelite tribes in northern Africa, and what they did was they basically needed to make the Arabs think that there was like a Messiah, an Arabian Messiah, that would basically unite all the Arab tribes, and then that guy was Muhammad. You know what I'm trying to say? So they basically grew Muhammad. That's what it was. It weren't no, you know what I'm saying? Allah, the word Allah is a Hebrew word. And that's the word that people said ever since the beginning of time. It's a Hebrew word that means God. I knew he wanted to say something. We don't mind.
And that's just the whole thing, because the thing with Islam, like the brother was saying, which is fully correct. Islam was pretty much a manufactured doctrine that was pretty much I won't say a duplicate, but really it came from the Bible. You understand? And we not trying to, we ain't trying to insult nobody. We just going into the history. Because see, people, are born into a religion, or they take on a religion, but they don't understand what they're getting themselves involved in. All right? Now, the black guy, or the couple of wicked Negroes that established this religion called Islam, now the main guy that started it was St. Augustine. Okay? And he was around the 2nd century. So he had his guys around and all of that to formulate this new doctrine, just so they can get the Arabs to be deceived. Okay, and pretty much going over there to Jerusalem to fight those Jews, so that the Roman Catholic institution can establish their church in Israel. Okay, let me finish. So, being that the Roman Catholics knew the history of what's the word? The history of Israel, because of its religious background, they thought if they can set up their Roman Catholic Church down there, then they'll be the biggest church ever. You understand? And that's why they wanted to. That was the whole point of Islam. It was pretty much a war religion going on.
Yeah, and that's why I say something about. When you go in the Quran, that's why there's a surah called the Book of Miriam, Book of Mary. Now, when you check the Arabs, say excuse me. Yeah. As an artist, like because you're Muslim, when you go into the Quran, there's a book called the Book of Miriam, right? Mary. Chapter, not a book. Yeah, right. Chapter. Yeah, so you believe that Mary was a virgin?
Yes.
Right, exactly. Because that's all paganistic. Mary, the mother of the one who people call Jesus Christ, she actually had sex with Joseph. When you go inside the Bible, because the whole Roman Catholic Church thing about Virgin Mary, they get that source from the Bible, right? But when you go inside the Bible, it tells you that so-called Jesus Christ, his father was Joseph. That everyone knew, it was common knowledge that people knew that he was the carpenter's son. Everybody knew that. Everybody knew that Mary was his mother, and his father was the carpenter, Joseph. Everyone knew that. That's in the New Testament. So now the whole idea of Mary having a miraculous pregnancy, like God somehow performed a miracle in a woman where she was able to conceive seed without the help of a man and give birth. And that man was the Messiah of the Jews, right? that was a fantasy. That never happened. That was a fairy tale. That was something that was created and institutionalized by the Roman Catholic Church. Because that goes back to ancient Babylonian worship. You have Semiramis, the Queen of Heaven, and Tammuz and Nimrod. That's what that all goes back to. The whole so-called Trinity, which was passed down through the ages. And that's what got passed down into this religion called Islam. That's what that came. That's what that goes back to. Now, when you go in the Bible, that you see the word virgin. Mary was a virgin, but the word virgin there means young woman of a marriageable age. That's what the word virgin means. It doesn't mean a woman that's never had intercourse with a man before.
No, you go into a translation, and then each language got its own structure. When we say virgin, this is just the meaning of al-adhra in Arabic. Al-adhra.
Well, see how the Arabic.
I didn't interrupt you.
Yes.
Sorry. So, the first point I'm trying to mention is you are trying to explain the Quran by going to another source, which the Quran itself never ever claimed that the source of its knowledge is that source which you mentioned. So this is the first point that I want you to think about it. Number two, I want to ask a question. Do you brothers believe in something called miracles? Yeah, do you think in this universe or history of mankind or the future that something will happen called miracles? Because if you don't believe it, we're just gonna speak different languages.
No, we believe in miracles.
Okay, so if you believe in miracle, we believe that there is a miracle that happened to Al-Athra Maryam. So I don't want to mention the word version in order not to create some kind of misunderstanding.
No, that's all right.
Just to clarify, or to make my point, I'm not saying that what I'm going to say here, sir or gentlemen, that I'm going to convince you or change your belief.
Yeah,
I'm just telling you that whatever I believe, I have a lot of evidence about it, and all my message is to present it, and then it's down to others to whether believe it or not.
That's all right. That's all right. Give me Romans.
So that's my point of view.
That's all right, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Romans chapter 1 verse 3. Concerning his son, Jesus Christ, our Lord,
You're going.
which is made of the seed of David according to the flesh.
You're gonna be
Romans chapter 1 verse 3. Concerning the son, Jesus Christ, our Lord, which was made of the seed of David,
right. Made of the seed of David. Going.
according to the flesh.
According to the flesh. Now, it doesn't actually mean that he came from the actual seed of David, meaning his great-great-grandfather. All right? Because when you look at the word seed in the book of Romans 1 and 3, the word there is sperma, which goes back to sperm. So that's showing you right there that Joseph and Mary had a physical sexual activity. All right? It was a physical birth. That's why when you read the book of Romans 1, it gives you the genealogy of who the world called Jesus Christ. Which the word gene goes back to the word race. I believe it's a Latin raza, which that word goes back to the genes, I believe. All right. So go give me Matthew 1.
Matthew chapter 1 verse.
Yeah, you know with names the genealogy of the Lord. Because the thing of the Lord, what made the Lord who he was, because what you gotta understand is that, well, should I say, let me reiterate myself, but what I wanted to say, the Bible tells you that the Lord was made of flesh.
Oh yeah, right.
You understand? Yeah, if you could get that, brother, that's all right. So he came in the form of a man 2,000 years ago. So when he was hanged on a tree, as the passage was saying, okay, or he was lynched, it wasn't a spirit, it was a body. It was a physical body.
It was a sperma.
So what piece did he get? Was it Galatians?
He's up. Matthew 1 and 21.
This is Galatians 4 verse 4. But when the fullness of the time was come,
It's all right. We'll get that later. Go on.
but when the fullness of the time was come,
Yep.
it says
No
God
filming, thank you.
sent forth his
Rob,
son,
Right.
Rob,
God
not be
sent
filmed.
forth
Oh,
his son.
sorry.
Go on.
Alright.
made of a woman,
Right.
made under the law.
Right. Made from a woman, made under the law.
Right.
Because what did Mary exercise? She exercised the law pursuant to what is it? I believe it's Leviticus. It's in the book of Leviticus 12, where it speaks about on how a woman after she gives birth, she's unclean for a certain amount of days. So she inactivated that law, showing you it was a physical birth. Okay, and we're gonna get the law.
So it says Leviticus 12 verse 1.
Yep.
And the Lord or Yahweh.
I tell you what, before we get the law, get Luke, brother. You gotta go get Luke.
Right.
You see, the scriptures tells you that the Lord will set up pastors that shall teach you wisdom and understanding, okay, after his own heart. So that's why we're out here to set the record straight, because